Hi, the purpose of this video is to demo the provisioning of VMs on DigitalOcean and AWS platform. So let's start with DigitalOcean. I'm currently on my dashboard and I need to start my process by going to the security option and I need to add an SSH key. So let's see how to create an SSH key. So since I'm using Mac OS, there is an option to generate a key using SSH keychain. So I can skip the following options. I just need to give the name for my key and I can skip the options to enter phrase and bunch of other stuff that it asks. And once I do that, I have my image created with me and I just need to copy the public key and paste it on the console over here. And I need to give it a name. So I've given it a name and as you can see, the key has been added into my account. This key is going to be used in the API call for creating the instance. So the next part is generating a token. This token is going to be required for all API calls that I make to DigitalOcean. So I've added a token and I need to copy the same token into my environment variable. So to do this, I need to use the export command and I need to enter the token. Next, in the code, I need to make use of the same token using process.environment. Now we're ready to make our API calls to DigitalOcean. So let's see the first method to list the regions that are available. There is a method called list regions that which makes use of the regions API. So invoking that API, this is the result that we get. So there are multiple regions that are available for us. For our use case, let's consider San Francisco as one of the region. The next resource that we require is the images. So let's see the method that we use for listing the images. We uncomment the previous call and then we make a call to list images. This gives us all the images that are available. So let's consider one of the images inside this to create our VM. Let's consider CentOS 7. So the next command that we need to try out is creating a droplet. So for this, I need to fill in my image value and my region before I make the call. So I've picked San Francisco as one region and I've picked CentOS 7 as the image. Let's check out the method for create droplet. So there are a bunch of parameters that need to be sent to the create droplet API. And one of the parameter requires us to fill in SSH keys. So let's copy the SSH keys from the dashboard and then paste it over here. Now let's try making the call. So yes, the image works and we're able to create a droplet with the droplet ID. And if we go to the dashboard, we would be able to see the new droplet. So it takes some time initially to set up the instance for us. So it says that the image is ready to be used now. So now we should be able to get the IP address for the image using the droplet info method. To do this, we require the droplet ID, which was received as one of the response for the previous API. We need to pass the droplet ID to the droplet info method. I make use of a get request. Upon executing this, we get the IP address of the image that was just created for us. Now let's try pinging the image. Yes, we're able to get a response for the ping. So that means the VM is up now. Now let's see how to delete this image. I need to make use of the same droplet ID and I need to pass it to my delete droplet method. Within the delete droplet method, I need to make a HTTP delete command, HTTP delete request. Now let's execute this and see. So it says that the droplet was deleted. So to confirm this, let's do a ping and see. So since I get an ICMP response, that means that the VM is down now. Let's go to the dashboard and check out if the image is still available. Let's refresh the dashboard and see the VM is not available anymore. So that was the process for provisioning a VM on DigitalOcean. Now let's look at AWS. So I've created an account with AWS and it's a free tier account. So I'm currently logged into US East Ohio region. To get started, I need to create key pairs that will be required for my API calls. So I've given a name to my key pair and this generates a file that is downloaded to my system. Now I need to add this key pair to my known hosts. So let's quickly get that done. I need to copy the PM file to my SSH folder and I need to make it accessible and I need to add it to my known hosts. Now let's go back to the management console and let's go to the security credentials. So we will need to download the access keys. This is going to be required for making all the calls to AWS using their SDK. So this contains few important parameters like key, access key ID. I've put them in a config file for now, and I make use of load config data function to get the content from the config JSON. Now let's look at the list images function. So this function is supposed to give me the list of images that are offered by AWS platform. To this function, I need to pass certain filters because the list of images is close to 30,000. So I've added filters like owner alias for Amazon and platforms and state, and I need to pass this filter parameter to the SDK method called describe images. So it gives me the list of images that are available. So the API response contains various parameters, and I need to make use of the image ID parameter for my next query. Now let's look at how we create instances on AWS. To do this, we need to make use of the image ID that was fetched by the previous API call. So I have selected one of the image IDs from the call and I'm going to use that and I'm going to pass it to my create instances method. I need to copy the SSH key name to this instance params list. As you can see, I've also added parameters that like tags which would be associated with my machine. And I need to pass the instance parameters to this. So upon the successful result of the promise, I should be able to print the response in the console. So now let's execute this command and see. So I've created the instance now and the API response provides me the instance ID. Now let's just check the dashboard quickly to see if the instance is available on the dashboard. As you can see, there is an instance present on the dashboard and it's currently initializing. So after a few seconds, the state turns to running. Now we need to get the IP address for the device. So now let's make use of the method called instance info and pass my instance ID to this method. Within the method, I'm going to make use of the SDK and I'm going to call describe images. So this prints the IP address of the machine. Now to verify if the image is now to verify that the VM is running, let's just ping the VM and check. And it returns a successful response. So the image is up and running now. So that concludes our workshop.